Dragon Ball Super Episode 82 is now officially in the history books, as we are now ready to move on to the Tournament of Power, scheduled in 40 hours according to the Grand Priest. And with that, Toppo's battle with Goku concludes, as we've learned a few new interesting things. And on this video today, we're going to be sharing our predictions as to what we expect to see in Dragon Ball Super Episode 83, alongside our thoughts on Jiren, who is said to be the strongest competitor in Universe 11. And joining me today to tackle this subject is my friend the Daishinkan Emosh. As all of you, if you guys have anything to add on to this overall video in terms of disagreements or agreements, or simply if you want to go ahead and add your prediction, simply drop your comments down below. Emosh, we finally have the reveal of Jiren having to be stronger than Toppo, and there are a few things that I want to get into in this video, but first things first, I want to get your overall thoughts as to what we saw between Toppo and Goku. Jiren was said and confirmed by Toppo that his friend is supposed to be the strongest on over in Universe 11, and as according to Toppo, he said, if you think you're as strong as me and you have a chance, you're wrong. So I want to get your thoughts on the whole Jiren and Toppo situation, because it's kind of weird that Jiren is stronger than Toppo. However, Toppo is looked at as being the next god of destruction. Maybe in terms of qualities, Jiren and Toppo are very different, but Jiren the Great is coming. So I want to get your thoughts on, the overall character that we're supposed to see, and I want to get your overall thoughts as to what we saw between Toppo and Goku.
Alright, well, first of all, what's up, everyone, and thanks for having me on. It's always appreciated, as
always.
I gotta say, I guess, half of me, to be honest, is kind of disappointed, because Toppo turned out to be this justice preaching idiot, and I'm not criticizing him like in a way where it's just like, well, because I didn't get what I wanted. I don't even know what I wanted, to be honest. I just figured Toppo would be a little more aggressive, or a little more of less of a talker, kind of like Goku said, like, oh, for someone who talks with his fist, you sure do talk a lot, stuff like that. He was just posing left and right. He was just talking about justice, justice crusher, justice on, justice off, justice tornado, justice flasher. Everything is justice. So I was just like, well, okay. I'm kind of glad that Jiren is the guy now, in a way. But and another side of me is just like, well, when I was first watching the episode, I really know how to react to it, because at first I was like, oh, as soon as he mentioned, oh, if you're on par with me, then you're gonna have a hard time against Jiren the Great, my sworn friend or whatever. So I was like, oh, so that's the approach they took to it, since they did the whole mix-up with the whole Toppo and Jiren thing, being in the black, in the hooded robe and stuff like that. So now they're making it out to be where Toppo is just next in line, or he's being scouted to be a god of destruction, and then you have Jiren, who is just he's the fighter, like he's that guy.
He's the guy.
You know what I'm saying? So
there, yeah.
He's the fighter, which kind of, I mean, I guess it makes sense in a way. A lot of people are going to look at it like, well, maybe they just because see, it's not necessarily an ass pull, but it's more so of okay, this is how we're going to make up for the mistake. You know what I'm saying?
I think it makes sense. I think, as we spoke about briefly off camera, I think it makes sense, because why in the world, if for example, if they were to have Jiren fight Goku first, after the battle between Bergamo and Goku, it wouldn't have made sense to throw in Toppo after, knowing the fact that Jiren is the strongest. Why would anyone even care about the second best? And now, having to throw in the second best, we all have a lot to expect from the top fighter, because we don't know what he's capable of. But what I love the most is how the battle ended, with Goku having to shake his hand and saying, let's do this, and Toppo having to say, I'm not going to shake the enemy's hand, just understand this, if you think you're on par with me, you're going to have lots of trouble with Jiren. So with that being said, and Goku having to, be very serious in saying his name in Jiren, and having to go back and talk to everyone, do you think that this approach with Jiren is necessary to have, him possibly be stronger than Super Saiyan Blue? Because according to this so far, it's really hard to say if Toppo is really on par with Super Saiyan Blue. But let's just say if he is, if Goku and Toppo are dead even, and we have Vegeta up next, that's kind of scary for Universe 7, because not only do we have someone, as of right now, who's equal to Goku and Vegeta in terms of Super Saiyan Blue, but there's also someone out there who's even stronger than the other three. So what are your overall thoughts as to the approach that they just pulled here?
Well, here's why I disagree with the whole not caring about the second best thing, because then we know the second best of our universe is Vegeta.
Yes.
So now it's like, well, where is Vegeta gonna end up now? See, that's the first thing that pops into my head.
Right?
No, yeah, but but it's kind of like what you just said. Who cares at this point? Now that we know Jiren is that guy, right? And that's the approach they took to it, to make up for the mistake. I honestly believe it's to make up for the mistake. I don't think it's because it could be 50-50. Like, I mean, this is something that you can't really prove, right? It's just a matter of, okay, well, as long as it works out, we'll be happy. A lot of people were actually would have preferred Jiren to be the guy. Then they found out Toppo was the guy. Now we're finding out Jiren is officially the guy again. So now it's like, okay, whew, thank God, because Toppo's a fucking idiot. Like, you know, so it's good, it's great, but my immediate reaction is, where does this put Vegeta? Is Vegeta gonna be, you know, playing the sidelines like he always has been? Is he gonna be shitted on? Is he gonna, you know, get his time to shine? Is he gonna get his spot? Is he gonna play a major role in this? And that's what's really concerning me, because now even though this is kind of the Goku show, at the same time, you know, you can't have one Super Saiyan Blue take all the glory. Vegeta is Vegeta. Like, you have to give him some recognition. You have to give him some kind of, you know, airtime, and you can't just give him, you know, sloppy seconds. It's just not, to me personally, I just don't see it being acceptable to give someone on the caliber of Vegeta the sloppy seconds. So now that we know.
Then again, if it turns out that Goku's going to be holding off Jiren, then again, if Vegeta takes the approach to fight Toppo and possibly beats him, he can say, like, I had enough power in me to defeat someone who's supposed to be next in line to be a god. I did that. I beat someone who was being scouted by the top tier level of, you know, angels and gods in being a Hakaishin.
Right, but then it goes, see, that's the thing. That's the problem with that. That's the only argument that I have with this, is that you portrayed this character to be the guy, right? To be no joke, to be he's so strong that he's being scouted to be a god of destruction, which at the same time could be taken out of context. We're not denying that he's going to be a next god of destruction. We're not denying that. We're not denying that he's being scouted. When someone is being scouted to be a god of anything, it just means that they're partaking in a certain position that nobody else is capable of, or nobody else is willing to. Similarly to Goku, can he be a god of destruction? Yes. Is it in his character to be one? Absolutely not. Who would fit a better position for that? Vegeta would probably fit a better position for that, right? So, I mean, a lot of people argue that. So the same case goes here with Jiren and Toppo. So now we have Toppo, who's being scouted, but then it's just the way they portrayed him, you know what I'm saying? So at first, when he was first introduced, when he was just the guy all the way, standing in the back of the picture, of the group picture, because of his size, right? He was just that guy. I was like, who's that guy with the big mustache? Oh, fuck him, he's nobody. We gotta focus on the guy with the black hooded robe, which originally was Jiren the Gray, right? Then they switched it and they made Toppo the guy in the hood, right? He's the guy who's rolling around with the gods. Naturally, so our assumption would be that, okay, that's that guy to beat. So now we're given this episode, which is a teaser for the grand finale, right? I figured Jiren would have been the best fighter on the universe, but in terms of overall strength and output, power output and stuff like that, the guy you should be worried about is Toppo, because of his immense sense of justice and because of his power.
And it still is too, by the way.
Right, of course, but that's what I'm saying. But now they kind of took away from Toppo after hyping him up so much. And there are going to be some people who in the community who are going to say, oh, I knew Jiren was going to be the guy. We're not denying that. Congratulations.
And if you guys did predict that, then you guys are prophets, because I really wanted Jiren to be the guy. But, it is a little confusing having to have Toppo be the next god and then Jiren being the top guy. And, those are just two. Those are only two out of God knows how many other fighters are going to be coming along to that team.
What I thought was... I think I did. I'm not sure if I mentioned it with you. I might have mentioned it with Anime Live, right? I figured. I said that if anything, Toppo could be to Universe 11 what Goku is to Universe 7, and Jiren could be to Universe 11 what Vegeta is to Universe 7. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They have the top two characters. That was my original, take on that. And at first, I was completely okay with it. Okay, we have two strong fighters in this universe, and then we have Goku. We have somebody to match up with Goku, and then we have somebody to match up with Vegeta. Both fights are expected to be insane, and to the Vegeta fans out there, finally, they're going to have something to look forward to watch. But now we're back to square one. Now everything is about, guess what? Goku. Naturally
I wouldn't really say that, because, then again, as it was said in the episode... Beerus is worried that everyone's going to gang up on Goku, and which we spoke about before, because it's possible that they're going to be like, you know what, target him, because he's the problem. But I think that, because speaking of Vegeta, because we finally saw him holding bra, I think that Vegeta is going to have more of a role and more of an impact than you truly believe, because you cannot expect Goku to solo this thing. It's not.
No. I'm not saying that.
If he's already not having problems, but if he's already on par with someone like Toppo, you can only imagine what Jiren's capable of. So I can definitely see Vegeta saying because Vegeta and Toppo are very similar in a way. They're hot-blooded. They're very prideful in what they believe in, their beliefs and their perception on not just other people but themselves. And
Right.
I can see Vegeta having that moment to where, wow, he beats someone who's equal to, you know, in terms of standards to a Super Saiyan Blue. I can see Vegeta beating Toppo, and you know, when it comes down to it, it can also boil down to where Jiren possibly eliminates Goku, and then it does boil down to Jiren and Vegeta again. So Vegeta may have a significant role going into this. I'm sorry, I have no faith in Krillin or Tien or anyone else. I mean, just especially going into next week's episode with, you know, Krillin having to fight Basil, which was, I think it's gonna be more or less the same recap as we saw Krillin fight, you know, Cell and Boo during that, you know, Paradisal Forest. But I think that Vegeta has so much more to lose now, because going into next week's episode, his daughter's born. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on his daughter being born? And do you think that's gonna have like a deep emotional impact? Because in approximately 2 days, in a little under 2 days, he's got to pack up and go. And there's no promises that he's gonna come back. So I want to get your thoughts on the approach that we're gonna see next week in terms of Goku asking him, because according to the spoilers, he's a little hesitant. He's just like, we know he's gonna do it, but he's just like, what the hell? So what are your overall thoughts as to the overall approach, and of course your favorite subject here, your thoughts on this whole Krillin versus Basil gimmick?
I actually had no idea that was happening. I didn't know anything about Krillin. I don't follow Krillin. Whenever I hear anything about, this is the first time I'm hearing it. So Krillin versus Basil, I don't know, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean, we saw him use the whole Destructo disc and everything. If you stuck around to see the preview, we saw Vegeta hold his daughter. There was some, you know, yoga practices for Bulma's pregnancy. We saw Goku and Vegeta and everyone, and Goku, Beerus, and Gohan, and everyone else that were shocked when they saw the baby. So she is born, and in 2 days she's gonna have to, you know, go with her mom.
In terms of Vegeta, I think this, having a daughter especially, is gonna change him completely, but change it for the better. I'm expecting for it to change him for the better, because Vegeta, he does have a soft side. Like it is there, and we're seeing it more now, especially that he's been there for his wife. So imagine what he's willing to do for his daughter.
If you guys have anything to add on, just comment down below, by the way. But go ahead.
And you know, so whatever he's willing to do for his wife at this point, imagine how far he's willing to go for his daughter. He's becoming, like, he's creating his own little kingdom, you know, within his family, and that's great. And I think it's good to see Vegeta still maturing, right? I think that's a good word to use there, mature. It's good to see him mature as a fighter. I think he's the total package as of right now in terms of power. You know, having to actually compete with Goku, right? I don't want to say he's on par with him, but at least he's competing up there. He's up there, right? But still managed to be there for his family. Still managed to find time for his family. He does so many things that I think a lot of people don't really, you know, notice. So as to where Goku is strictly focused on himself and training and things like that, which again is great, you know, good for him, for his character. But it goes to show that from back in the day, you know, Vegeta was always wondering how he was able to, how could he possibly catch up to Kakarot, right? And at first he thought, you know, then he gave his little speech. At first I thought it was his family that pushed him, and the love of his friends, right? And then he started his own, and his power didn't increase at all. But now, slowly but surely, we're going back to that, but it's working out for him. And I think Vegeta is becoming more content with his position. He's not, even though we do see him talking about him, you know, not allowing Kakarot to surpass him insane, you know, to that much of a margin. But it's good for Vegeta. I'm expecting this to change him for the better, and I'm expecting, you know, for Broad to be Daddy's little girl, and that's gonna be, I think it's gonna be hilarious to see. I think the Vegeta fans are gonna be happy. And other than that, I think for sure once he finds out the rules about the tournament, he's gonna say, you know what, fuck that shit. Not my baby.
Not only that, but technically Goku kind of put his daughter in danger by having this tournament be held. So I can see Vegeta just get really, really pissed off at Goku for this.
Yeah, definitely.
He's endangering his daughter. Like, she was just born, and there's a possibility that she might die. I think that's gonna strike Vegeta deeply. There is no confirmation on whether or not we're gonna see anyone do any kind of training, which I'm really hoping to see, because even though you have 2 days, there's the time chamber, there's Whis you can go to, you know, but I doubt that we're gonna see any of that. Maybe when the manga drops, we might see something else.
Right. Basically, the things that we think that make sense as to what should happen, like the things me and you would do to prepare for a tournament, will not happen in Dragon Ball Super right now.
Oh, absolutely not, man. And that's what sucks the most. Because normally it's like, come on, you have to remember how Cell had his tournament 10 days ahead. Everyone prepped. Like, there was not a person that wasn't training, and even the ones that didn't really fight that much, they still prepped. But now it's just more or less like, okay, what happened since those times? It's like, has everyone like fallen short in relying on Goku and Vegeta too much? But then again, I also wanted to get your take on something that really bothered me, and I'm pretty sure it bothered a lot of you guys watching this. Why is Goku able to use Super Saiyan Blue Kaio-Ken over and over and over again without any backlash to his body? There is no side effect to his body anymore. He's able to tap into this like it's just water.
Right.
Like, how do you feel about that?
People, I mean, listen, I talked about when I did my discussion about the transformation thing. I talked about him mastering Kaio-Ken. I want to see that before he touches anything else. So as far as him at least being able to enter the Kaio-Ken, we've yet to even see the multiplier yet. He hasn't specifically said Kaio-Ken times 4 or 5 or times 10 or whatever. So I think if we see a massive amount of Kaio-Ken times 10 all the time, then it's something to be concerned about. Because at that point, it's just like, well, hold on. The first time he did it, even if you do it 3, 4, 5 times, we know as Dragon Ball fans, we know what the Kaio-Ken is, and we know how much of a toll it takes on you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're Super Saiyan blue, green, white, yellow, or purple. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's Kaio-Ken, and it does take a toll on you. But it's good to see him at least be able to enter the actual, the first stage of the Kaio-Ken. I think that's good to see. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I would like to see him master it. As far as but I guess at this point, is it really safe to say that he's mastered it yet? Because
look at what he said after he powered up against Toppo. He said, "I'm going to show you what it's like to pass my limits."
Right, and exactly, and then they just stopped it, and then and then Zeno-sama was going crazy. Pass his limit. He was going crazy.
What I loved is how they were just screaming, "Justice,
justice!" Wow! Yeah, that was fun to watch. But overall, I think it's just I think the reason some people might have a problem with it is because they didn't really see him train for it. He just all of a sudden started doing it out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Because he just technically did come back from. Remember, he was rusty. He got shot by those robbers, and he had a scar on his arm. He went to go train with Whis. Then all of a sudden, what about the tournament? So everything was kind of rushed in terms of him training. He didn't really have any training to use the Kaio-Ken. So I would say maybe that's why people might have a problem with it. Me personally, I don't. I would much rather see him use it like 50,000 times before he even touches a new height of power. That's just my opinion. But my discomfort is more so coming with the whole Toppo and Jiren thing. I still think it's iffy because now, like you said, it's going to be a 50-50 opinion, maybe, but at the same time, I still think now that we've seen Toppo, like you said, if he ends up fighting Vegeta, which it could be a probability, right? It's just like, well, we've already seen Toppo, and now Vegeta's going to get someone, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I'm a Vegeta fan, like in terms of his character. I don't have him in my top 5, but I'm a fan of his character. So to give him someone like Toppo now after Goku just sparred with him is kind of like, I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like Vegeta deserves something fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But I don't know.
We can't really say as to what Vegeta's gonna do indefinitely. I mean, it's very possible. It's very possible for Vegeta to actually be the one to win this. Not just because of pride purposes of him having to be the strongest, but, for reasons of defending his daughter and his wife. But the thing here is, it's very probable for Goku to be eliminated, and then it's going to boil down to Vegeta. What if it does, happen to turn out where Goku is thrown out early on, and Jiren and Toppo are still in there with the likes of Gohan and Vegeta? It's, again, as Gohan said, sometimes it's not more about power, it's more about strategy. But then again, having to fight someone who is, the strongest of Universe 11 and, respectively enough stronger than Super Saiyan Blue, it's going to pose a problem. So I can definitely see it to where, especially having a look at characteristics, Toppo and Vegeta being very similar, I think that it's fitting for Vegeta to kind of like humble Toppo and saying that, you talk about truth and justice and, destroying evil. And it makes sense because Vegeta was once evil. So Toppo, he always has like that sense of, detecting evil within someone, and his fists are going to crush them. And how fitting would that be to fight someone who was once evil, who was once considered to be one of the most dangerous people in the entire universe, and just wanting to rule over others and be the strongest. So that would be a very, very perfect fight because of ego, because of power. And same thing with Jiren. I can't see Jiren having to say truth, justice, A, B, C, and D. I don't think it fits his character. He looks like more of a serious character,
Yeah, but I think personally, he's the Vegeta for 11. He's just gonna sit there and say, "Listen, let's go. Let's just come on, start throwing those hands." Get these. You're gonna get these hands. You know, I don't have time.
I really don't think any of them are like really kind-hearted kind of characters. I think that the entire Pride Troopers like the opposite of the Ginyu Force. Like they have to be like the serious people because you know I think that having to look at the way Toppo carries himself and having to look at how Jiren fought Goku during the preview. Jiren doesn't look like he does any poses. Jiren doesn't look like anyone that takes things lightly. So I think that this would be great. However, I mean it's still up in the air as to what's gonna happen in terms of like having the others train and recruiting. I can't wait to see 17 personally for me because he's been a character that hasn't been shown in Super yet. We've seen him in Dragon Ball Z and whatnot, but we haven't seen him in Super necessarily yet, or at least have like any sort of like role in like speaking or doing anything like that. So I can't wait to see how they're gonna recruit him. But in terms of, I have to get your thoughts on Krillin versus Basil. If you haven't seen it, the background looks like it's like this void, and we see him using Destructo Disc, and we see him going toe-to-toe against Basil, someone that was beating up Majin Buu. And I wanted to get your thoughts as to how well do you think this is going to impact his overall sense of like mentality going into this, because I think that having to focus like as to what Krillin went through during that one episode with Goku, I don't think that Krillin's going to be fearful because he has a lot to fight for as well. But I wanted to get your thoughts on him versus Basil and just the overall concept of that.
They're gonna give him the win. I think they're gonna give him the win.
You think he's gonna trash a couple of Universe 9 characters?
No. I don't want to say trash. I would never give Krillin that much credit. But I think they're gonna give it to him. I don't see him losing, that early. But I do see him losing, just not that early. Because after all the trouble they went through to make him have this epiphany of fighting again, so it just doesn't make sense if he just loses, just like that by Basil. So I do see him beating Basil, but after that, I'm not so sure. But I didn't even until you brought it to my attention, I had no idea Krillin was even gonna. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have any words for Krillin. You know that.
But I thought he was your favorite character, man. What happened?
He's my least favorite. He's definitely my least favorite. No, but I see him winning. Not the tournament, like some people, jokingly trolled me with, but I do see him winning the first round, especially with Basil. I don't think Basil's all that personally. I think Lavenda's more furious than Basil is, because Lavenda just goes in with the intent to kill anyway. So it's just I personally think Krillin's gonna. He'll probably do pretty decent against Basil. After that, I'm not so sure. I don't see him. I'm just not so sure who else could he possibly beat. I don't know. Unless another universe has something like a Champa, not Champa, like a Yamcha.
Speaking of Champa, God, that guy, we need.
It was funny what he said. He was like,
he is so needed in Super.
I wonder if Hit is one of 10 brothers. Remember what he said on that? Yeah, that was funny. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, the episode at first, I was just like, well, what's going on here? Why was I so hyped for this? And I'm watching it. Then towards after that commercial break, then things start to get a little more serious. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, once Margarita started talking about Goku's bones being broken and Whis having to talk back, and it was just like, oh man. But like you kind of knew that Goku was gonna use Super Saiyan Blue, but even then, it's like Toppo kind of like. He didn't really expect it, and after his uniform got ripped, that triggered him a lot. I was just like,
oh my god, that
he was like, me. Yo, do you not know what this suit is? Like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna end you right now. Like that was great. I was like, yo, this is perfect.
Listen, word for word, he said, you have besmirched. The word he said, besmirched. What is besmirched? What is?
Kind of like desolated his uniform, bro.
Toppo was like
chunk of him.
Toppo is just,
but that kind of goes back to like why he may be looked at as a god, because like the simplest things of just disrespecting him means a lot, and the gods are like, you never disrespect the gods, because what happens to you if you disrespect a god is you're gonna get sent to the Shadow Realm. So that's kind of like one of the reasons as to why I think that he's scattered like that, because of his personality and his characteristics. Like, you can't disrespect him. Don't be tearing off his clothing. Don't be trying to challenge him, because he's gonna mess you up. But
don't even look at me. Don't even look at me.
Don't even look at him funny, because he's gonna think you're evil. I think that whole notion of not shaking his hand was good, because for a second, I was like, oh, don't shake his hand. And after he walked away, he was like, I'm not gonna bring joy to evil. I was like, good, stay like that, because now there's more interest in Toppo, because he's obviously gonna be having a grudge for this. I'm sure he's gonna be a little bitter that someone from a different universe kind of like rivaled him in power, and after having to go back, he was like, I'm sorry I couldn't defeat him. I think they're gonna be gunning for Goku badly, bro. This, I mean,
Yeah.
people don't understand how much of an issue Goku has just created, not just with the other universes, but now with the Pride Troopers. But post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts on Jiren having to be the strongest one? What are your overall thoughts on Toppo versus Vegeta possibly? And what are your overall thoughts on next week's episode with them having to recruit people, the first one being Vegeta, and the birth of Bra? Post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you guys are fans, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. That way you guys are always notified with all the latest Dragon Ball news, information, updates, and discussions. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to slap a like down below. Also, go on ahead and subscribe to the Daishinkan Emosh's channel. I will link it down below, down in the description, guys. Thank you all for watching once again, and we'll be seeing you all in the next discussion video. Take it easy, guys. Peace.